Hey, what's up guys? We have a bit of a swingy session today. I do well, and then I do bad. I run a little bad, and then I play a little bad. But anyways, stay till the end to see how it all goes. Catch you guys on the felt. Alright guys, welcome to another vlog. Hope you guys are having a good day. This is the very first hand I get when I sit down. The game had already been started, but not by long. It started by 10 minutes, something like that. Anyways, Under the Gun goes all in for $21. I call, the cutoff calls, gets around to the big blind, and he decides to call as well. So we're going three ways to a flop with one player all in. The flop comes out, and it's not too bad. It's 10, queen, queen. So unless someone has a 10 or unless someone has a queen, I'm pretty sure I'm ahead. That being said, the flop does check through, and when the 5 of clubs comes on the turn and action checks to me, I think it's time to start putting some money in the pot and denying equity from some overcards like ace, king, ace, jack, king, jack that's open-ended, you know, anything like that. So I bet $30. The cutoff folds, and the big blind player thinks about it, takes a look at his cards, and then decides he wants to continue playing this hand and throws in the $30. We're going heads up to the river, and the river could not be a safer card in the world when it comes the bank queen of clubs. So we're now beating any 5 for a full house. Big blind goes all in for $40. There's only 145 in the pot. If he has quads or if he has a 10, then he's just getting paid. I'm not putting him on jacks, 9s, 7s, 8s, anything like that, because I think he would have bet on the flop. So, and if he has one of those, then once again, he's just getting paid. So I make the call. He flips over his hand. He does have king jack, one of those hands I thought would stab. I thought king jack would, ace, jack, things like that, you know, things that didn't quite boat up, but still are afraid of a pocket pair like mine. So $225 pot for the very first pot sitting down coming our way. And hey, it's a good way to start the vlog, good way to start the session. Let's move on to the next hand. Alright guys, so this is literally the very next hand after me sitting down. This is hand number 2. Look down, see pocket 7s. I raise it up to $10. This hand's a little bit crazy. Hijack calls, cutoff decides $10 is not enough to see a flop, so he raises it up to $40. And yeah, once again, I do want to say this is a private game. It's a game I've played with my friends for a long time. Big blind calls, and action is getting back around to me. So we play together all the time, guys. We play together many days a week, so everything we do is all in good fun. We bust balls, and that's just kind of what we do. We go to the poker table to relax, to get away from life, to have fun. So just know that before this entire hand unfolds, okay? I don't want anyone going in comments and saying anything crazy. But so $40, I decided to make the call, and that's when the hijack goes all in for $71. Yeah, I raised to 10. Felt like I was getting priced in for another 30, and now it's 71. I just wanted to play for $10, and now the cutoff goes all in for 90. Yeah, this is getting crazy. I don't know why this hand is ballooned up so much. All I know is I have 7s, and I feel like I'm getting priced in. Once again, that may be something fish say, but when the big blind makes the call, he actually was trying to go all in. He had just rebought because I just stacked him the previous hand for $100. So he called the 90 and he has 10 behind. I was talking to other people at the table. I didn't realize what was going on. So instead of putting him all in for his extra $10, I make the call, and then I realize what had happened. So I call the 90. We're going heads up to the flop, I guess, with 2 players all in. But once again, he only has $10. I'm never going to be folding for $10 on this flop, no matter what it is. You know, it can come ace, king, queen, and I'm not folding for 10 because there's so much in the pot. So flop comes out. It's not the best flop. It is 8 deuce jack, 340 in the pot. He goes all in for 10. I call, and I'll let you guys go to the live audio.
Whatever y'all want to do. Rip it. I don't do shit. Okay.
All right, y'all all behind. Huh? No, I have a set.
That's insane,
Set.
bro.
I called I had a set, right?
Yeah. That's insane.
Hit it on the fucking turn.
Bro.
I know Max got my fucking back, boy. Come on. I know, bro. Fuck y'all. Fuck y'all. Take my seat, bitches. Fuck this shit. Come on, man.
I saw that all happen.
The fuck? I try to give y'all my
You
seat.
want to tell me that shit is not rigged, bro?
Come on, bro.
This shit is rigged.
Get some real hands. Fucking kings
This
and
game
queens.
is rigged.
Get
nigga.
this shit
Hell
out of
no.
here with these trash hands. Bro, give this man all the money.
Rigged, bro. What the fuck?
Hey, give me a rack, bro. Give me
How
a
do you
rack.
have pocket sevens? Lie about hitting a set. Bink the set on the turn. That shit is insane.
All right, guys. So that was a fun hand. I was joking around, told them I had a set because I knew they had overpairs, thinking I wasn't going to hit a set, just trolling and having fun, then bink the set on the turn. Kind of crazy, but let's move on to the next hand. I have ace queen offsuit. I limp for $2 to protect my limping range here because every now and then you want to limp with a good hand. After I do that, small blind goes all in for $63. He is tired of all these shenanigans, has a hand he wants to gamble with, and he decides to ship it all in. Like I said, guys, this is a private game. We're all friends. We're all having fun. That's why I was busting balls. If you want to give me grief in the comments, please do so. It's fine. People bust my balls all the time. Eventually, action does fold to the small blind player. I'm sorry, the big blind player. And he thinks about it, or whatever player this is. I don't know. He ends up folding. I rejam over the top all in with this hand, and the cutoff goes all in for 130, calling my all in jam. So we have 3 players in this pot, 2 of which are all in. And at this point, this hand was probably, I mean, honestly, guys, this was probably like the 5th or 6th hand. So the first 2 hands I had pairs and I won. In this hand I have ace queen and I'm feeling pretty good so far. I mean, I have no idea what they have, but ace queen's a pretty good hand and I'm pretty much crushing the table at this point. If I win this hand, it's looking ugly. That's all I'm saying. I mean, I'm just running good and that's all there is to it. It's not really play good, it's just kind of run good. So flop comes out, jack, ace 4, turns a 5, rivers a 5. I show my ace queen. That cannot be beat. So now we are scooping in this $323 pot. The hits just keep on coming. Hopefully they will continue. And hopefully this ride never ends. But as we all know, all good things must come to an end eventually. And that's what happens later on. Alright guys, so since I was going on such a big heater, I actually had done a $200 sweat with one of the guys who had been losing a lot of pots. I ended up losing that, so down to 100, just kind of catching you up. I looked down at 7 deuce here, raised it up to $20 because everyone was calling things super light. So I was like, alright man, I'm just going to bump this up with 7 deuce and just try and take it down the flop. I get 5 callers. It's a 1-2 game, 5 people call, 6 ways to a flop with 7 deuce offsuit. Not the best hand, but I have evil intentions in mind. Flop comes out 4, 5, 8. I have a 7, so I have a straight draw. No clubs, and it is an all-club board, but that is not going to stop your boy from betting into the field. I bet $65 without a single care in the world because I'm just acting like I have 6, 7 of clubs here. I mean, I have a 7. Granted, it's not a club. Could be. I could have flopped a straight flush. I've done it before. Check out the vlog in the past, guys. Flop a straight flush and get paid. It was beautiful. I'm just acting like that's happening again. And actually, everyone starts folding one by one. $120 in this pot. I bet out for $5 over half pot, so slightly over half pot, and get everyone to fold until it gets to the small blind. He goes into the tank. He actually flips up a card, which is a good sign. If someone flips up a card, they're 99% gonna fold. He shows the king of clubs face up and folds. Of course you boys know I gotta show I got the 7 deuce. Let them know. And I tell the table, I said, hey, stop calling so light. Like, you know, y'all are calling way too wide right now. So I let them know, show the 7 deuce. Once again, all in good fun. On to the next hand. Alright guys, for the next hand we see the best hand in No Limit Hold'em. That's right, pocket aces. And hold on one second. What would you guys say if I told you 75% of you were not subscribed? That's right, only 25% are. So if you enjoy the content and you're having a good time, do me a favor, click subscribe down below. It's free to do, doesn't cost you anything, and it would really help out the channel. So back to the hand. I have pocket aces. I raise it up to 20. The button player calls. The big blind calls, and then the middle position player calls as well. So we will be going 4 ways to this flop. Not the best thing and not the thing you want to see with aces, because the more people in the pot, the more chances are someone is going to beat you. But when the flop comes out, 7 queen queen with 2 diamonds, Other than someone having a queen or pocket sevens, it's not all that scary. Middle position player bets 25. I don't see any point in raising since so many people are in the pot, so I end up just calling. Action gets to the big blind player, and guys, I gotta be honest, she has been all over the place. She announces she's going to raise to 50, so she puts in 25 and then another 25 to complete the raise. But I've seen her do this with all kind of things. It doesn't mean she has a queen. It doesn't mean she has anything. She could have a 7 be doing this. With all that being said, middle position player calls, and once again, I call as well. I don't want to see a diamond. Other than that, I guess I don't want to see a 7. Really, an ace would be great, but when the 5 of hearts comes on the turn, I really have no other choice but to check inflow to the aggressor. She bets $25, middle position player calls, and once again, I feel like I can't fold for how much is in the pot, so I call for 25 more. The river comes, and it is the deuce of diamonds completing the front door flush draw. Yep, not a great card, not a great card. Once again, check and flow to the aggressor. She bets $25, and middle position and I both call. There is a bonus in this game that if your aces get cracked, you get $25. So basically me calling this final $25 bet, in my opinion, didn't matter at all, because it's just kind of a free roll. Because if my aces get cracked, I get the $25 back, and if I'm good, then I win the entire $380 in the pot. With that being said, she wins because she has queen 10 and aces go up in flames. If you didn't subscribe, I hope your aces go up in flames too. On to the next hand. All right, guys, nothing like getting your aces cracked, especially by the action player on the table. We are moving on to an Omaha double board bomb pot. Look down and see 5 jack, jack 5 with a single suit of clubs. Now with this hand, I can do some damage, especially when the 2 flops come out and one is 7 ace deuce of clubs and the other one is 8 6 4 with 2 clubs. So we have flopped the jack high flush on one board, and we have flopped the jack high flush draw on the other board. Now it is 8 players in here, so $40 is in the middle because it is $5 per player ante to see both boards. Middle position player bets $40. Considering I have 2 flushes that beat me, I am just going to call for right now. So I call the $40. Action gets around to the hijack player, and she is taking her time, understandably so. If you have a set on the top board, like, you know, set of deuces, sevens, aces, something like that, I think you have to call here. I don't think it's too much of a decision, but if you have like 2 pair or something like that, you know, you need to take your time and think about what you want to do. I have no idea what she has. I'm just kind of explaining where her head could be at. But she does call the $40. Action gets around to the cutoff player. He decides to call the $40 as well. Other players relinquish their cards until it gets to the under the gun player, and he puts in 40 to see a couple turns with the rest of us. Now, at this point, there's $240 in this pot. I have the 3rd nuts on one board, which, once again, in pot limit Omaha is kind of scary. You kind of want to have the nuts in the 2nd nuts. But when the top board comes 4 of diamonds and the bottom board comes 3 of clubs, I have a jack high flush on both boards, and that does account for a lot of the clubs. Middle position player goes all in for $25. I am putting him on a flush since he was the aggressor pre-flop. And since I think he has a flush, I'm betting no one else does, and everyone else either has sets, straights, things like that, maybe 2 pair. Because as of right now, there are 3 clubs on one board, 3 on the other, 2 in my hand. So that is 8 clubs, plus I think he has 2 clubs, so that is 10 clubs. There are only 3 clubs not accounted for. And if someone else just happens to have 2 of the remaining 3 clubs and has a higher flush, then I guess that's just what it is. I raise it up to $100. Hijack calls, cutoff calls, and the under the gun player eventually decides that this pot has gotten far too crazy and gives his cards back to the dealer so the 3 of us can finish it up. Now, when the cutoff called, he ended up going all in, so he has no more chips left. The only players in this hand that have chips remaining are going to be myself and the hijack player. She only has about 105 behind, and I can guarantee you that I am going to be putting her in on any 2 rivers. Hopefully we don't see 2 board pairing rivers, because at this point the only thing I'm really worried about from the 2 remaining players in the hand
are sets. So hopefully we can fade 2 board pairs and maybe win a pretty decent sized pot. But when the top board comes the deuce of hearts, it squashes all those dreams. Bottom board is queen of diamonds, so a boat up top does win. That's still not going to stop me. I jam all in for her remaining $105. She thinks about it for a little bit, not too long, double checks her cards, and then eventually she does decide that there's just too much in this pot and she has too much of a hand to let it go. So she shoves all of her chips into the middle and ends up making the call. Now at this point, I know I have her beat. I have no idea what the other 2 players in the hand have. Like I said, I think the player to my direct right has a flush. It's just a question of, does he have a higher flush than me? Does he have the queen or king high flush? And the cutoff player, I'm thinking, could have a boat up top. I don't think she has a boat up top because I think she would have called much faster. So I'm really fading a higher flush from my player on my right and a boat from the cutoff player to my left. I flip over my cards, and now I do have the jack high flush, and this is when we go into let's look at everyone's hands. The cutoff player angrily throws his cards one at a time up. He had a straight on both boards and just didn't believe that someone had a flush. Luckily for myself, I did. So I am scooping the outside pot. Myself and the player to the left, the hijack player, you can see he's pretty upset. He's like, how are there all these clubs? How do people have low? He has a flush. He has a flush. Everyone has. He's a little upset right now. It's understandable. It's a huge pot, $785. The player to my left, she did not have the winning hand. I believe she had 2 pair. So I scooped that outside pot with just me and her. I scooped the other pot with myself in the cutoff, and the middle position player ended up only having a 9 high flush. So I scooped the entirety of this $785 pot. Polymomo can be nice, especially when you're scooping. Let's go on to the next hand and see how this night ends up. Alright guys, moving on to the next hand. Look down and see ace jack of clubs. There's a $5 button straddle. I am in the small blind. I decide to limp. Under the gun player limps as well, calls that 5, and action goes around. Eventually it gets back to the button player. He checks, and we are going 6 ways to this flop. I was actually hoping under the gun would have raised. She's been raising all night, so I tried to get a little tricky here. Ended up not working out, but the flop comes out queen 3-7 with 2 clubs, and that's not too bad of a flop for ace jack of clubs. Once again, I check. Action gets around to the button player. He decides he's not going to check because he wants to take this pot down. He bets $10. And I think at this point, calling's fine, but I decide to go the aggressive route. I raise up to $50. Now, once again, guys, I think calling's fine, especially because there's 6 players in the hand. And yeah, someone probably has a piece of this board, but because action was so relaxed and because so many people checked, I thought that raising here would be able to take down the pot. And even if it doesn't, I'm willing to gamble with this gentleman on the button for as many outs as I have. He ends up calling the $50, and we're going heads up to the turn, which is the 10 of hearts. Now that does bring in more outs. A king will give me a straight. So with that being considered, I put him all in for his 90, hoping to get a weak queen to fold, maybe a 7 fold, something like that. Whatever he has, he's not ready to let it go though, because he does make the call. I need any club, any ace, any king. He shows that he does have a queen. It's queen deuce offsuit. This is why you should raise and not let someone else raise for you, because if I raise it to 25 from the small blind, he would have folded. Anyways, 7 of diamonds comes, miss everything in the world, somehow don't hit, and he wins this $340 pot. On to the next hand. Alright guys, this is the second to last hand of the night. We are playing once again a pot limit Omaha. Look down and see 4 queen queen 7 double suited on the queen. So not the worst hand for pot limit Omaha. Boards come out, it's going to be 4 jack ace and deuce 5 7, 2 spades up top. So we do have the second nut flush draw up top, and on bottom we have a pair of 7s. The small blind player goes all in for $35. Big blind player calls, and it gets to the under the gun player. Now, This is the undergun player. She's a blast. She's a good time. But she takes a little bit to act, right? And she's newer to poker, so she doesn't know how to raise properly and just kind of do the things that we as poker players have learned to do throughout the years of playing. Awesome person, but makes it very difficult to read her and know what she has and where she's at because of the sporadicness of her play. With that being said, she min clicks it up to $70. I pretty much snap call. I've actually called before she even has her chips out, knowing how much she wants to raise or anything like that. She just said she wanted to raise, and she said how much she wanted to raise, which was 70. She's just having a hard time figuring out what chips add up to 70. The dealer's helping her out. Once again, I've already made the call because to me, that's the exact same as her just calling. I don't see this raise is screaming strength or anything like that. I just see it as this is the same as a call. So essentially in my mind, I'm making the call for 70, which is the same as making the call for 35. That being said, action does start folding around. It gets back to the button player. It gets to the button player. He doesn't know it's his action, so I let him know because he's still distracted by the lady in under the gun. So I let the button player know. I'm saying, hey, man, it's on you, just so you know. He's like, oh, shoot, I had no idea. Once he finds out it's on him, he does eventually decide that he is going to fold. It goes back around to the big blind player, and then out of the blue, he decides to go all in for 310. Yep, that's right. All in for $310. Sheesh. I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that at all. I really wish that under the gun, the lady had not raised to 70. We could have just called the 35 and seen what was going to happen. But this is where we are at. Under the gun player is now deciding what she would like to do. She figures she already raised to 70 once, so what's the big deal? She's just going to put all of her chips in the middle. She goes all in for 440. I ask for a count, and once again, I am completely lost. Normally, and this is what I'll tell you guys, normally I would just fold this hand and just say, okay, on to the next one. It is what it is. I'm moving on. Like, I don't have the best hand. My flush draw is probably not even good. I'm getting out of here. And mainly because I'm only drawing to the top board. In these pot limit Omaha hands, you need to have both boards if you're willing to put this much money in. Or, I mean, if you're willing, it's your money. You can do it with nothing at all, like I'm doing. But it's not smart. You know, you want to have a piece of both boards if you're putting in all your chips. With that being said, I have no idea what she has. I think I'm ahead of her on both boards. So I make the call for 440 like a buffoon. Yep. Good times. So the small blind player is in for the main pot and the outside pot for 310. And that's how much we had to match. Myself and the under the gun player each had 440. Well, I had more than that, but she had 440 and I called her. So we each have 130 in the furthest outside pot, which is heads up. Man, oh man. 1260 in this bomb pot, and it started off with $35. How these pots can grow. We're just on the flops. I'm praying for a spade, and I'm praying that the spade is good. The dealer's getting all the pots right. Please, dealer, give me a spade up top, and I really can't win the bottom that I see right now. So I don't really care about the bottom. I'm just praying for the spade. With that being said, dealer gets all the pots right, and we are going to a couple turns. Top turn is, boom, the queen of clubs. We flop top set, or we have a set. Unfortunately, the king comes on the river, so any face card with a 10 is a straight. The bottom board was 9 and 4, so we have 2 pair on that board. But the small blind player has a straight on bottom. And the under the gun player takes a while to show her cards, but eventually she does put them face up, and she does in fact have the straight up top. She was going in pretty thin, and unfortunately the queen I binked gave her the straight. But the big blind player had a set of jacks, and then he was open-ended on bottom. So he had a really good hand, and he does take all of that. Basically, I chopped the furthest outside to get $130 back out of this $1260 pot. So that's all I won from this. The other two players chop up the rest of the money. GG. And on to the final hand of the night. Alright guys, final hand of the night. It's another Omaha hand. This is not a bomb pot. Look down and see 9-5 Jack 7. I have announced to the table that this is my last hand and I'll be leaving after this. I said I'd stay to the next Omaha hand, which this is it. Hijack raises it up to $10. The small blind makes the call, and the big blind once again is deciding what she would like to do. Yeah, so for the last hand, I definitely could have just gotten away. I didn't have to. I think calling the 70's fine, but then I think once it goes up to 440, I just fold, relinquish my hand. I didn't have to put in so much money. Unfortunately, I did, so definitely misplayed the last hand, and hoping I don't misplay this hand, the final hand of the night, and we can end with some profit, because of right now, as of this hand, I only have like $50 in profit after crushing all night, then making a dumb mistake and getting aces cracked. Yep, poker can come down to just a few hands. Well, eventually the big blind player decides to raise it up to 20. I snap call because once again, this is my final hand. Normally I would fold this because it's just not that good. Hijack makes the call, small blind makes the call, and we're going 4 ways to the flop. Flop comes out and it's not bad at all. It comes out 10, king, 8 with 2 spades. So what that means is we have a wrap. So when the big blind bets for $10 with this wrap and flush draw, I pot it to 110. Now, any 6 can give us a straight. Any 7 can give us a straight. Any 9, any jack, any queen can give us a straight. Also, any spade gives us a flush. So with that being said, hitting anything from a 7 to a queen and any spade, half the deck makes our hand. That's why I'm potting right here with jack high. I don't want it to seem crazy to some of you guys, so I wanted to explain Omaha is a drawing game, and I have a monster draw. Hijack ends up making the call for 110. Small blind gets out of the way, gets back around to the big blind player, and she makes the call pretty quickly. There's $410 in the pot, and the turn is coming out when we're going 3 ways. Like I said, a lot of cards to hit in this deck, and when the bink Queen of Hearts comes out, that is definitely one of them. Not the one I wanted to hit, honestly, because now Ace Jack beats us. We don't have the nuts. But with that being said, having the second nut straight and a flush draw behind it, I'm going all in for 255. Hijack instantly makes the call, and it is on to the big blind player. Now, if this player in the hijack has Ace Jack, it is what it is. Like I said, I do have a flush redraw just in case to cover my ass. But big blind player, eventually she does come to the conclusion that this is a little too pricey for her, and she does not want to play this hand. $910 in the middle. If we win this, we're going to end with quite a bit of profit. Dealer's adding up all the chips, getting the pot right. He flings me back a $5 chip because I had 5 too many, so I cannot be stacked this hand. That's right. I also have a $1 chip behind, so I have $6 behind. Can't be stacked. Feels good. All I know is I do not want a board pair, and I do not want anything like that. I just want a blank river. The river comes out and is the boo. 8 of hearts. I let him know if he has a boat. He is good. He flips over his cards, and he shows that he has top set. Queen, queen, ace 7, no spade draw. This man called me on the flop when I potted it with a gut shot. That's him. Froy, you bastard. He went runner for a boat, and that's going to end the night. Unfortunately, ending on an L because of that hand. But I've been playing with Froy for many years. GG to him, and you better spend it well, sir, okay? Spend my money well. I'll be sure to try and give back next time. All right, let's go to outro and see how it all went down.
All right, guys, I was in for the game for 300, out for 0. I actually had $6, but I just gave that to a dealer, said, hey, keep this. It is what it is. The second to last Omaha bomb pot, I lost way too much money on that. I feel like I misplayed that. And then the last Omaha hand, I feel like I played fine. This dude called me when I potted on the flop with nothing but a gut shot. his queen was no good because it gave me the straight. So literally all he had was a gut shot, and he called the pot on the flop. So I don't think I misplayed that. I have him drawn. He was like at 5% on the flop, and somehow I went runner both. So I don't think I misplayed that. I think I played that fine. I think the only hand I misplayed tonight was the one where I called the 440, and that just crippled me. And then this hand I just got unlucky and he won, and that's how poker is. So, think I played okay, but it is what it is. You guys, I'm sure will let me know in the comments. I appreciate you watching as always, and I'll catch you on the next one.